Welcome to Hamim Loyal. This is Eric Grissom.
And I'm Dan Johnson. Eric and I will be rewatching the iconic Twin Peaks from the pilot through the return and everything in between.
If this is your first time watching, or if you're a longtime fan, you can watch along with us as we dive deep into the strange and wonderful world of Twin Peaks.
We live inside a dream.
Today on Meanwhile, we are tackling episode 16, the final piece in the Who Killed Laura Palmer mystery, the end of what we're calling the end of part 1 of season 2. Some people call it Arbitrary Law. Some people call it a good time. Some people put it on the top of their Twin Peaks best of episode lists for season 1 and 2. I don't. Controversy.
This guy might have it at the top of his list.
We may have a little bit of a, we'll get to it. I'm not trying to throw shade on something because it's a good episode for a number of reasons, which we'll get into. It's just, I don't love it as much as other people do, and we'll go over it. Okay, Dan, I keep forgetting. I had things to do. What's it called? What's it called when you do something in the beginning of a podcast? Housekeeping?
Housekeeping.
Yes.
Let's clean house.
All right. So as you know, we have a Patreon, which you can find and sign up for. Sign up for free tiers if you just want to chat. You can get some podcasts. Dan and I talking about Donahue. We're talking about Wild at Heart. We're talking about coffee commercials, Japanese coffee commercials, and more. A whole bunch of stuff. But people that have signed up and have joined have started to use it for the communication platform that I've always dreamed of. Think of it like Reddit with a lot less people. So Frank D, I guess we're not, so I don't never know if you're supposed to use last names or not. I'll just say Frank D left a great comment referencing a couple of episodes that we did. So first one, episode 2. Dan, do you remember episode 2? Maybe you want to call it Zen or the Skill to Catch a Killer? Or,
I do.
Yes. Okay. If you remember, that's the episode where Cooper is throwing a rock. They're in the woods, so throwing several rocks. They've got the blackboard. Written on the blackboard are the 2 letters from Laura's finger and Teresa Banks' finger, right? So there's a T and there's an R up there. But it's also nervous about meeting J. So it's got the letter J up there circled. So you can see basically 3 letters up there, J, R, and T. And so Frank D over on the Patreon's like, hey, fun coincidence, Josh, Rick, and Tim from The Secret Diaries.
Names are Josh, Rick, and Tim.
How strange is that?
So there's a nice little thing, nice little carrot for your cake, if you're making carrot cake. So I like that. But this second thing that he said I really like, which is that Tim Pinkle...
See, the portal patient will allow you to fluently transport the unfortunate Mr. Johnson, allowing him to even go outside and sit and experience what he can of nature.
Who is the guy that's selling Bobby and Shelley on how to make the most of the insurance money. He's buying the medical equipment, and this is the thing that lifts Leo up and he gets caught in. He is played by
David Lander, who we all know from Laverne and Shirley as Squiggy.
Hello!
Yes, and also in On the Air, fantastic guy.
Okay.
I had made a comment like, oh, he's going to appear later in the show. And what I didn't remember, or didn't connect, or never even knew, was that if you remember when Pete gets a fish stuffed,
I just got that baby back from Tim and Tom's taxidermy.
Well, it's the same Tim from Tim and Tom's taxidermy that's Tim Pinkle.
How do we know that?
So he also runs this Tim Pinkle thing, and then later we're gonna it's a pine weasels. We're gonna talk about pine weasels, and Tim Pinkle is in there from Tim and Tom's taxidermy. And it's very funny to think about pine weasels, and of course it's about he's there for animals. But then when you think about putting Leo essentially on display, you have the taxidermy guy that is selling these medical equipments. But I heard you say, how do we know that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So if you read the access guide to the town, there is an article on Tim and Tom's taxidermy. So you can learn all about that, and it connects it. It's just an interesting little character connection that this guy that's selling the medical equipment is also the same guy from the taxidermy shop. It's also we're going to see later on when we're talking about pine weasels.
That's fascinating. Eric, is the access guide one of those things that we'll be talking about on the Patreon?
I hope so. Very hard to find. Maybe we could find a PDF out in the wild. I would love to own a physical copy. It's really the one thing that I don't have. They came out with the diary. I have the diary. I've got the autobiography, but I never had that access guide. So yes, that is something I think we should do on the Patreon. All right, so this is Arbitrary Law, Dan. This is episode 16. It's written by Mark Frost, Harley Peyton, and Bob Engles. It's directed by Tim Hunter. Now, Tim Hunter previously had done an episode called The One-Arm Man, or episode 4, for those that are really serious about it, from season 1. It aired on December 1st, 1990. Now, Dan, I turned 16 in between this episode and the previous episode, so...
Well,
it's a 15,
happy birthday to you.
Yeah, it was a 15-year-old me watching, episode 15. Here we go. This one's coming on, and guess what? I'm a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed 16-year-old. How many people at age 15 watched episode 15? At age 16, watched episode 16?
There may, in fact, be no such thing as coincidence.
Who we up against? Saturday night, 10 o'clock. What's going on television? Wise Guy? Carol and Company and American Dreamer. It's the same story. Second place. Beating Wise Guy, slapping Wise Guy around, but Carol and Company and American Dreamer, they're dominating the 10 o'clock on Saturday time slot. Let's get into it, Dan. Let's just roll the dice. Let's just tilt the camera and take a look at the beauty that is episode 16, Arbitrary Law.
So now the sadness comes, the revelation. There is a depression after an answer is given. It was almost fun not knowing. Yes, now we know. At least we know what we sought in the beginning. But there is still the question, why? And this question will go on and on until the final answer comes. Then the knowing is so full, there is no room for questions.
All right, so we open up on Maddie's plastic-wrapped body as Albert, Cooper, Truman, and Hawk walk slow motion towards us as they're dealing with the aftermath. Albert informs Cooper that Laura's killer is the same person that murdered Maddie, and then he left 2 pieces of evidence, 2 chalfonts, the letter O and the fur of a taxidermied white fox. Ooh, perhaps it's connected. Perhaps this is the handiwork of Tim and Tom's taxidermy service. Hey, look, 2 coincidences coming together there, Dan. And Cooper asks for 24 hours to finish this, even though Harry's like, I thought we already kind of figured this thing out. All right, Dan, what's your take on the opening of this?
So we got this lineup of Albert, we got Cooper, Harry, Hawk. They're doing that slow motion walk towards the camera in the sunshine. And so that's contrast between finding Maddie on the riverbank wrapped in plastic at night. Now they're in the sun. And this is the first moments of the episode. And right away, I can feel the presence of this director, because not only do we have the fellows walking towards us in slow motion, there's an incredibly long, protracted pan shot that goes through the trees. It's disquieting and unsettling, and it takes a really long time. And the branches, they look like fingers, they look like knives, they look like barbs coming through it. So it's not just this pastoral, like, pleasant nature. It feels like maybe there's something sinister in that, contrasted with this beautiful, bright, sunny day. But then it comes in and lands right on Albert's hand with the letter O in a plastic bag. So it's just an interesting shot that we really haven't seen a lot of before. So it already sets us up to see this feels a little bit different than previous episodes. And we can get right into it, because this is probably that you mentioned this to me last time. I'm not sure if we recorded it or if we said it separately off air, but this is an episode full of crazy angles, and it starts right away. This scene, I was trying to count, cut back and forth between people, and within the first 30 seconds, there's 7, 8, 9 Dutch angles. Low, tilted, off kilter. You could have made different choices, but no, you keep going with these. It gets even more intense later in the episode. Now, I'd love to talk about the effect he was going for and whether it actually accomplished that goal from our point of view. But it just, at this point, just feels everything's a little askew, which I think kind of makes sense. You get that subliminal feeling of nothing's quite on the level, quite literally. So that feels like a strong choice to make. But yeah, we got this already. Albert is fully believing what's going on here, that he believes that Cooper can find the killer. But Cooper himself, strangely, is full of doubt. He's been so certain that his techniques, his intuition, everything he's done to this point is leading him in the right direction. And now he knows, like we said in the previous episode, something's wrong. Something's not adding up. It's not Ben, but he doesn't know who it is, or maybe it is Ben, but he's not sure. So he's the one that's out of sorts. But Albert, the one who's usually, I would say, maybe the wet blanket of things, or trying to be more analytical about it, seems to really trust in Cooper. I think this is a really interesting episode for Albert overall, which we can talk about more as later scenes come up. But it just feels like that moment several episodes ago, that moment with Harry, that really turned a corner, and he's just a much more well-rounded character. You don't sand off all the edges of how gruff he is, but he's just deepened that character, and I really, really appreciate that. And so I don't know. There's that. We have Hawk also showing how much he believes in Cooper as well. He even says to him, "You're on the path," and he's got to keep going, which calls to mind what the giant said. Cooper doesn't know how the clues are all adding together. He's not exactly sure where he's going. But even Hawk, is telling him, you're on the right path. You just got to keep going. So that's a whole lot going on there at once in a very short scene. But tell me what you think about this one.
I think the slow motion walk up is a very good indication of where we're going in this episode. Like, it's a very highly stylized noir detective cracking a strange mystery. You said, when did we talk about this on or off air? We talked about on air. It was when we reviewed his previous episode. So when we did Tim Hunter's One Armed Man episode, he leans into it a little bit, and by season 2, he's way more comfortable with it, and he's got the gas on the pedal, and you're going to get a lot of it. So it's just, and I can appreciate the artistry, and I can appreciate the style, because he's going for it. I don't like it. So for me, a lot of it, it's just always feels a bit corny. There's stuff with sort of some of the story bits too I don't love. It's like all the stuff that I love about Lynch's work, which is this under the surface, intuitive, weird feeling of mystery. Like, there's lots of mystery. This is very much like explaining everything is going to get explained especially when we get towards the end. So it's sort of like almost like the opposite feeling that I get watching this. This feels like, a highly stylized detective show, and there's nothing wrong with that. I can respect it while also not being a huge fan of it. And there's so many wonderful moments in this thing, so it's not like I'm not trying to crap on it. I understand that people love this episode, and there's moments in this that are like, it's amazing. I love that. I love that stuff. But for me, it doesn't always ring true. Love Albert's scene. I love Albert's speech about going to the mountain and doing whatever, and just basically saying, you're the weirdo that's going to figure this whole thing out.
Yeah.
Go out there and figure it out. Though Harry's sitting there, and Harry's like, we figured this out. We already know. Like, what are we talking about? And then, of course, you're on the path. You don't need to go where it leads with Hawk. And I don't know. That's all. I all the stuff you kind of covered for the look and the feel, but it's like, okay, this is definitely Tim Hunter's vision of this particular episode.
Yeah, I think we definitely did talk about the Dutch angles in his first episode that he directed. I think we also mentioned, as we were talking about coming up next and reviewing this episode, you kind of mentioned it to me then as well. So the entire time I'm watching, I'm like, oh, I see why Eric said that. I can see why it just used so much throughout the episode. And I think, especially in the next scene we're about to talk about, this is the part where it really felt way over the top for me. So let's just jump into that one.
All right, well, we're just going to jump over it. Donna and James meet at the Double R for morning coffee, and James gives her a ring. With this ring, I do thee wed. Norma suffers from her mother's criticisms, and Donna overhears Andy reciting a very popular French phrase among the depressed. Dan, this is the Double R. Double R unlike any Double R we've ever been in, but yes, what's your feeling?
We got a couple different kind of moments going on in this extended scene. I've got to say, this beginning of this scene in the Double R with Donna and James in that booth, that lighting looks like a painting. It is so beautifully shot. They look exceptional. And, you know, even for the time, or maybe especially for the time, broadcast television, it feels like there's such a strong contrast between the light and shadow in this that it must have been so hard to actually watch on TVs then. Used to much more of that now with like the HDR and being able to see all this really clearly. But it just is such a strong contrast and almost feels, in the best possible way, like a painting on velvet to me. It has that quality of like a soft light against a very dark background. I don't know. Something about it just is very evocative and very romantic, which obviously makes sense for the moment that the two of them are having. They're sitting on either sides of the booth, professing their love, foreshadowing, or is going to be kind of, you know, knocked back later in the episode. Anyway, but it's just setting this part up. Just looked gorgeous.
Yeah, it feels like a dream. Like it's like very wonderful and beautiful, and you'd never seen the Double R look like this ever. Never looked like this before. It's never, even when this scene starts, you're like, is this the Double R? They got the same cups. It's until you sort of bring them in, but it feels like this wonderful shared dream before we take it away. So it's like their last sort of good moment before it's gone.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it, for sure. But then we leave the two of them, and we have a scene between Norma and her mom, and this is where the choice of angles is crazy. Incredibly high angles looking down on Vivian, right, Vivian? And then incredibly low angles looking up at Norma. It's so extreme, to almost be parody. Like it calls attention to itself in a way that I don't think is helpful. This is just one person's opinion. It just doesn't feel helpful. It feels very on the nose. They're at different levels. They're at odds. Whatever the metaphor is going for, take it down a couple of notches and he still would have had it, and it wouldn't have felt so disorienting in a way that I don't think was really necessary for the scene. There's other places where that disorientation actually enhances the subject matter of what's happening in the scene. I don't need that in this scene between the two of them. Having the camera angle show conflict makes sense, but not the way that it's done here. So that's just the one time, or especially in this, the best example in this episode of where the camera angles really just kind of bothered me in this. But I will say, Norma did get to stand up for herself, which is really good. Mm-hmm. Her mom giving her recommendation of, Norma's saying like, why is nothing ever good enough? And then changes this, why is nothing I do ever good enough? And her mom just doesn't get it. And she gives, suggests that she should have a better omelet with, white veal sausage and morel mushrooms. It's just like, they're just completely at different places and talking past each other. So it's upsetting to see because I love Norma so much. But before we get to Andy, do you want to talk about anything with those bits?
Sure. Yeah. Like, we talked about a bit of it being a dream, and James says that line, like, I was riding the motorcycle and it feels like 1,000 people singing.
I went for a ride this morning. God, the engine sounded like 1,000 people singing.
What were they singing about?
What do you think?
Last night? I could sing about last night.
I got something for you.
Yeah.
Which reminds me of like a choir of angels or something singing for Maddie, because Maddie has been killed. So he's hearing like these voices, and it just was like a nice connection for me imagining that. And where James deals always giving out jewelry, and he's just talking about that woman that with the large hands. And I'm like, did that same large-handed woman also sell him the split heart necklace when he gave it to Laura? Like, here comes James again, like whatever, with her giant man hands. The waitress in the back, so there's like a new waitress in the back that doesn't have any lines, which I'm like, oh, is that the replacement for Shelly? Because Shelly's quit.
Right.
So obviously we have to have a new waitress. And it just seems odd that they've got the hot coffee near the phone bank. Like they got 2 phone banks there. And then that's where she's getting the new coffee. It feels like somebody's going to get burned. Right?
Huh.
So I got a high traffic area, and you're going back there for hot coffee. And then James could be Jamesing real hard on that phone. It just seems like an odd place to put a phone. I mean, put a bunch of coffee pots.
Yeah, it's strange that Vivian didn't criticize that yet. So, one more thing for her to talk about. Now we see Andy sitting at the counter, and for the relief of all the viewers, the camera is square on him, straight ahead. So we don't have to worry about Andy falling out of frame here. But he's sitting there, and he's almost in a trance, just repeating the I am a lonely soul in French over and over again, almost as though he's trying to get it right, but he is saying it right. I'm not sure what he's doing, except just like letting the words roll around in his mouth. And he just is absolutely in a trance. I don't love, I guess, what would you call it? Like the Deus Ex Machina of this, that he happens to be sitting there then saying it out loud as Donna walks by. Like the coincidence of that, I don't love. I wish there was another way to make this connection for her. I know that the coincidences in the universe and all that totally makes sense. I just wish it's a small thing. I just would like that to have been a little bit different. But regardless, the fact that it sets Donna off on this direction is fantastic. Like, I want to get there. It just feels like a kind of cheap way of getting there to me. I don't know. You disagree?
It didn't bother me. I think Harry Goes' performance is very good, how slow and deliberate he is with saying it, and it's like a haunting thing. So like we have a situation where these people pop up, these Tremons. Why are they even there? We're going to get to that in a little bit. Were they ever there? Kind of thing. So this phrase is going through the universe finding her. You know, it's going through Little Leland or Pierre Tremont or whoever you want to call it, getting to her. And now here it is going through this dim-witted Andy, getting to her. It's coming now through. So I don't know. I'm okay with this particular phrase finding its way to her through the universe, which happens to be through Andy. So I'm okay with that. There's some other things that happen later that I would also say what you did and be like, well, come on. Like, I'd rather certain members figure out a mystery on their own without it being sort of handed to them. But
yeah. I would say one thing, but I like your interpretation of it. I just wish it was more textual than we have to fill in a lot of the gaps, but that's fine. But I kind of like it also. What he's saying is, I'm a lonely soul. It is this, emotional, heartrending sort of, especially the connection with the suicide. And Andy, when we first meet him and have seen repeatedly, he is this like open chest, all emotions hitting him. He can't hold it back, like crying at the train car, crying when he sees Laura. Like it makes sense in that way that this emotional thing would actually come through him. And you say dim-witted, which is accurate. Maybe he's another way to say it. He's just open to the universe and letting it.
It's fine. I don't mean
so. No. It's totally. It's not accurate. It is absolutely true. But maybe there's a sweet side to that makes him kind of more receptive to this. Maybe. Sure. Anyway.
I got nothing else for the scenes. I will just do one quick thing, which is just James never has any idea what's going on. Like when he's talking to Andy, he's like, what did you say? What? And she's just like living her life, like on her little Donna adventure, and just James in the background, like, what, huh? It's just, hey, Donna, what? And they're just following her.
Poor puppy dog, James.
All right, so we're at the Mrs. Tremont's home. Donna tries to introduce Cooper and Andy to her, but finds someone else. This is also just an interesting bit that just occurred to me right now, even before I end this description of what's happened. She leaves Andy staying at the seat, still saying, I'm a lonely soul to himself, and she leaves with to go get Cooper, and then all of a sudden Andy's with them.
Oh.
So did he just follow in tow and just while he went to the station, or did they go back and pick him up? Because whatever, it's fine. All right, so Donna tries to introduce Cooper and Andy to Mrs. Tremont, but finds someone else. She walks away with a note from Harold and a missing page from her diary, which details a dream she had.
I gotta say, I love this Mrs. Tremont. She is this character, just like she is a character. She's like not a three-dimensional. She is cartoony, and I love it. She's just so radically different than the Mrs. Tremont we expected to see, and I love this. This is a thing that David Lynch has done in numerous other places before and since. But this, swapping people, same identity but different person. But now it's not actually a different identity, but it is a. Everyone's seen this already. I don't need to describe the scene too much, but there's a woman who's young enough that Mrs. Tremont that we have met could be her mother, and that Pierre is old enough, or she's old enough to be Pierre's mother herself. So she would fit into there, but it's obviously not. Her mother died several years ago. She never had a kid. So, and the interior of the apartment is completely different as well. All the we only see it through the doorway. But there's, bright paintings on the wall, and it just feels very eclectic and kitschy, and it's not at all the place that we saw before. I'd love to dig. I wish we would know for certain, but like when Donna went there before, and presumably when Laura went there before, where was she actually going? Not physically, but when she stepped through, is this a direct connection to the Red Room, to the lodge? Is this, for example, why when they talk about the cream corn, Pierre's able to do that magic? Like we're in a different altered version of the world whenever she stepped through the door before when the Tremonts were there. And now this is not that. It just makes that whole, we're going to be coming to this whole pain and suffering, Garmbosia, the cream corn, seeing that in later episodes in the lodge. So it just makes me think, is this like a threshold place that has now dissipated now that Harold has moved on, or whatever their business was they were doing there is over?
They move around, so it's not necessarily the place itself, although around them perhaps is
that's
the
what
place,
I mean. It's so
right?
radically
because
different.
in Fire Walk with Me, they go by a different name, Chalfonts.
Yep.
And they're at the Fat Trout Trailer Park where Teresa Banks is staying. That they go by a different name, and now they're here. And so I had mentioned when we did Coma all the way back then that, can this be a vessel that is a deceased person? So her mother had died 2 years ago, and she assumes the form of her mother. And I talked about Leland being the grandson, and this is the grandson, the moment that Bob sort of stole his soul and he got trapped in the Red Room, Black Lodge, whatever. But yeah, so I saying like when they're in that place, is that place like another dimension, some other thing? Certainly we don't see that place again. Right. So when we go to the place above the convenience store in Fire Walk with Me where we see the grandson and we see Mrs. Tremont, it's not this place. They're hanging out at that place with all the cool guys.
It's interesting to me too, as we think about these beings, Bob inhabiting people, Mike as well, the waiter and the giant. Presumably the Tremonts are in that same universe of beings, but are they just inhabiting this place? In other words, Mrs. Tremont is not inhabiting the body of this Mrs. Tremont that we meet in this episode. It's a completely separate thing. So I'd like that there's completely different layers to how the mechanics of mythology work. And so it feels natural. It has this dream logic to it, but it's not the same, like they work differently. Are they inhabiting a space instead of a person? It's just questions, more questions than answers, but I like that there's more to this than that.
In Fire Walk with Me, it's not a
spoilers.
It's not a spoiler.
Spoilers. No, I'm kidding.
There were people called the Chalfonts in this trailer. Yes. And then there were people called the Chalfonts in the same trailer. 2 Chalfonts. He's like, funny, the people that stayed here were called Chalfonts. And he goes, come to think of it, the people before that were called Chalfonts. Right, so this is a situation where you have people in a trailer called Tremont, and then the people before them were called Tremont. So it's like they find these places and then they take the form of a deceased person, which I'm saying it's this woman's mother or whatever. Well, it's the same actress playing all the things, but like it's like the same name twice. It's like they assume the identity of these people, but they look like different people. So I don't know. That's why they're the best. I love the Chalfont Tremond.
Speaking of like other David Lynch works, so we talked about Fire Walk with You there. For some reason, maybe, I don't know, you can't get inside my head, but for some reason...
She feels like she was in Mulholland Drive. Like, she's very much like, even though David Lynch is not connected to this.
Thank you.
But she seems like someone that would be like the woman in Mulholland Drive.
$10 says you're Betty.
Yes, I am, Mrs. Lenoir. It is Mrs. Lenoir, isn't it?
Oh, and all my living glory, baby.
Pleased to meet you.
Oh, just call me Coco. Everybody else does.
Okay, so I'm not totally crazy, because through the screen door, seeing someone as a different person, but it just felt like, and I couldn't put my finger on it. It's been a long time since I've seen Mulholland Drive, but I was like, this feels like that for some reason. And it's Mark Frost, not David Lynch. It's not David Lynch directing, but for something about it just felt so much like it. I'm glad that you even were able to finish my thought before I got there.
Yeah, I can see that. Absolutely. I see that she feels like you could pop her into even The Return or something. And it feels like somebody he would include. I'm not sure who the actress is. I probably should have done that research before. Maybe she's been in some stuff, but yeah, she's great in the brief time that she's there.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else on this? I have a few.
Not in this little spot. We can. You go ahead, take it away. Well, I'll come back.
Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff that's like, does it quite add up? Does it not add up? So like when you talk about the diary, so like she gets the letter. It's from Harold. The woman's like, "Oh, you're Donna. I got this message." It's It's Harold's handwriting, and then I'm assuming it is Laura's handwriting. It's a page ripped from her diary. It's written on the day that she died, right?
Okay.
Or 2 days. It's February 22nd. She writes about her dream, and then February 23rd, tonight is the night I die. Now, in Fire Walk with Me, again, I'm sorry, I got to just talk about some of this stuff. She gives the diary to Harold on like a Thursday, a week before she dies. Before she has another dream, there's another dream that she's going to have that someone's going to tell her to write something in her diary. Happens after that. So it causes some some inconsistencies, or like how would this thing... she's writing in the diary in Fire Walk with Me on the night she dies, but how did Harold get it? Because she doesn't see him that night. So it's like, how does he get that page? It's not in the diary that he has, because he would have already had that diary. And is then she going to his house? Like,
well, so it's like, is she delivering food and also making entries in her journal at the same time? I don't know.
Yeah, which just makes sense. Like maybe she's telling the story, he's writing it down. That I could. But on the night that we see her entire day that she dies, I mean, I guess you could say maybe she went over there and then told him to write that down, and it's weird. But there's things like that. So do what you want with it.
I really love seeing Cooper's dream, which was Laura's dream. So seeing it from her point of view is great. So getting to revisit one of the most like mind-blowing beginnings of a mythology ever, Cooper's dream, from her perspective is great. I have to take issue with her saying that there was an old man in the chair.
Yeah.
He would have been 55. He wasn't old. So anyway, that's just 50-year-old me saying that he's not. But I love seeing that is great. And again, this is a director's strong choice. As Donna and Cooper are standing out there in the sunshine talking through this crazy thing's happening, the camera goes so close on each of them, just extreme close-ups. The last thing is just explicitly saying that Bob is afraid of Mike, and that Laura mistakenly thought the old man in the chair, who was Cooper, maybe he was Mike. So it's not as though everything was super clear to her as well. There's this ambiguity in her mind as well. It's she's not this perfect conduit for the information that's coming through. I thought that was great. And just the last bit of like, was it Andy that said this is impossible, or Harry?
Harry's not there. It's just Andy.
Okay, right. So Cooper says, we shared the same dream. And Andy says, that's impossible. And Cooper says, yes, it is. Which I think is just a great way to end that part of the scene. But that's it.
I love that it introduces time travel. Not time travel, but that time doesn't matter. Time goes in every direction at once, right? Because she's having this dream before she dies. Cooper has this dream a day and a half or 2 days after he arrives, after she's already been killed. But these things happen at the same time. So it's like time in this Red Room world, we're going in and out. Is it future? Is it past? Like all of that stuff is, the seeds of that are being planted here in a really big way, which I love.
We see them playing with time again later in the Roadhouse as well a little bit. So yeah, that's really interesting.
And then she also talks about today's the day I die, because she's made the decision to die because she knows it's the only way to save herself.
February 23rd. Tonight is the night that I die. I know I have to because it's the only way to keep Bob away from me. The only way to tear him out from inside. I know he wants me. I can feel his fire. But if I die, he can't hurt me anymore.
So there's some, agency in her demise. And it harkens back to the stuff Jacoby was getting out of her. Like,
that last time she seemed to have reached a kind of peace with herself. Now I believe that what she had in fact arrived at was a decision to end her life.
Are you saying Laura wanted to die?
Doctor? Laura Palmer did not commit suicide.
No. But maybe she allowed herself to be killed.
And we see more of that later through Leland as well. But yeah.
Yep.
Incredible.
Okay, so we're going to jump over to the Great Northern. Cooper's quest continues as he asks Mike for help understanding his dream. It appears the answer lies within, and also with a certain decrepit waiter.
I think it's interesting that, Mike is clearly dying without the drug.
Yeah, please, Doc, step in. For the love of God, get this man some medicine. That's why you are a doctor, right? You have to take that vow or that oath.
Yeah. I guess, he's the greater good. They hope to get more information, obviously, out of him, but...
He has done nothing.
Who?
Mike, or what's it, Philip Gerard. He's being held against his will by the police. He's robbed of his medicine for a couple of days now.
Yes.
He hasn't done anything wrong.
No, but they need Mike, not Philip. They need Mike. So what are you gonna do? I don't know. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I like the way that Mike Cooper's talking to Mike about the dream, and he's just nodding along like yes, fine. It's like almost like finally yes, you're getting it, which is really great. And he talks about that perfect relationship that he had with Mike. That Mike had with Bob when they were killing together.
Bob and I, when we were killing together, there was this perfect relationship. Appetite, satisfaction, a golden circle.
A ring.
It's the golden circle, which was really great. Calls to mind for Cooper, the recollection of giving the giant his ring. And now he finally gets this, like, so he's real. Isn't this the scene where he asks about
as real as I
giant
am.
to Mike?
Yeah.
And Mike says he's as real as I am. That's exactly it. So it's this finally this moment that pays off in a little while later that the giant had said, when you believe, I'll give you the ring back. So this is finally, he's putting everything together, really trying to believe in himself and everything that he's experienced. There's a couple of things that I think are interesting in the way that they're phrased. When he's asking, whenever Cooper's asking Mike about the giant, he says, he is known to us here. Us and here are the two interesting words in that phrase. So is us Mike and Bob? Is he talking about the larger cosmology of beings that we're being introduced to as well? And why here versus, I don't know, like a different, are they saying that they know that he is with them here, or that they here know that? I don't know. There's something about like that phrasing that just, I don't know.
Right. I took that as he is Mike, so he is talking to us like via radio almost from the Black Lodge. So being here,
oh, interesting.
He's known to us here in this other world.
Okay.
And us meaning him and other people like him. Just the way that I.
No, I got you. I think that's clearly got to be right. My question was to us, was it Mike and Bob or the larger group? And if you're talking about this connection to the lodge, then yeah, it would be all of them that we later see in other bits of story. Yeah, this is great. Like, he's saying that you have all the clues you need. He's like, I'm done telling you more stuff. Cooper, you've got everything you need, which kind of implies the rules that we had talked about when May the Giant be with you, that these are the things I'm allowed to say. And he has to be like talk around things and can't really give you direct answers. So these laws or rules that they have to obey apply to others as well, it seems, and not just to the giant who's trying to help out. I guess that's it. Like, just noting that the answer is not in his head, it's in his heart. I think the giant had said something similar previously before. And then the last bit that I'm a little bit unclear about what he meant was when he says there's so much responsibility. Was he talking about Cooper's responsibility, Mike's responsibility to help guide Cooper?
I honestly don't remember that line.
That's as Mike is like fading out.
He just said there's so much responsibility. Okay. Yeah. I don't remember that line. What would that?
Let me find it, but go ahead.
I don't have anything on this other than when he hears about the giant and then he sees the waiter and he says, I know about you instead of I heard about you. So now they're learning they know Cooper now versus just hearing about who is this interesting man. And now we know about you. Like, you're cool, man. We're going to let you in our world at this point.
Just that dolly shot of Cooper standing at the end of the hallway. It's effective, but meaningless, if you know what I mean. Like, it's an interesting visual shot, but it doesn't really have any meaning behind it. And they just do it the once, and then reverse shot, and you see the waiter coming in. And he talks about the milk is getting cold. It's getting cold, but
he's on the right path. You're getting warmer. You're getting warmer.
This is the other part. So not just where I said before that the camera angles at such an extreme angle feel almost like parody. This part when Cooper says, getting warmer. It's almost like the meme of like Nick Cage in whatever it is, National Treasure or whatever, like looking on the back of the Declaration of Independence and making logical leaps that couldn't possibly be there. It's almost that sort of like getting warmer. Must be. It just feels forced and it feels corny to me. This is the one part we didn't need that, and I wonder if it's more of like, this is for a larger audience that's tuning in now because they're knowing that like this is the end of everything. Whereas like everyone who's been along for the journey and hanging on every word to this point didn't need that line. So that felt like not for me in a strange way.
Yeah, the whole thing is kind of weird too, because not weird, but like obvious for Cooper, who's a super genius, as we've been, watched him on this thing where he's like, okay, the giant, we know he's asking about the giant. The waiter he's seen with the giant. The waiter's, I'm so sorry the night that this horrible thing happened. Like, he knows the waiter is connected to this. And then the waiter saying, you're getting warmer now. Like, the milk will cool down on you, but it's heating up, buddy. Like, he should know that's the giant. Like, that's the guy is connected in the same way I'm keep locking up this poor Philip Gerard character. I'm gonna need to bring this waiter around for a while. But he doesn't even invite him. He invites Major Briggs, and then Major Briggs finds him, and it all works out at the end. But at this point, he should be like, yes, I need the waiter, but he doesn't take the waiter. The waiter literally has to hitchhike himself to the. But anyway, we'll get to let's revisit that later. Okay, so meanwhile, now we're going to go to Ben's office, right? And there's more evidence that's going to point to Ben. Got the white fox. We got a call to Laura. The murder fits, according to Albert. It could happen. He could have killed Maddie and, also been arrested when he was arrested. But they're still waiting on the blood test, right? Or they get the blood test results at this moment, but we as an audience don't hear it. Although, we already know who the killer is. So what's your take on Leland's plans all sort of working out here?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really have much to say about this one. Harry's just still plugging along with what he can see and prove, and everything does line up. So everything seems right. So it is interesting to see Harry and Cooper kind of at odds in this way, not in like a clashing sort of way, but their heads are in different places entirely right now. But I don't know. It didn't really...
Cooper's just lost. Like, he's thinking, he knows that this isn't right. Like, he knows it's not right, but he's not saying that. He's not, like, he's listening to Harry. He's not dismissing, no, it's not Ben. He's not saying that or pushing back. He's just lost in his thoughts, trying to figure out. I like when the police are taking away the giant blue marlin. I think it's a marlin, that giant blue fish that's in Ben's office, away, like, for, like, evidence or whatever. It's just this funny moment. There's, like, 3 cops taking this giant fish away in the background during this whole scene. Hello, it's Eric. Welcome to the midpoint. By now, you're probably used to the midpoint. You're like, oh, it's the midpoint. But you're not going to skip over, because you're going to hear about the wonderful people that are hanging out with us in the Black Lodge. Of course, there's Banjo Track. There's Dawn Adamo. There's Gregory Flanagan. And there's Chuck Suffel. I may want all my Garmonbozia, but you will have my heart forever. How did they get here? How did they get a shout out like this? Because they have joined our Patreon, which is available right now. So if you want to support the show, you can stop by and sign up for free, or do one of the paid tiers that gets you the secret podcasts, and you help us out. Go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile, and you should see a link for the Patreon there. All right, let's get back to the proper episode. All right, so we're going to jump over to the sheriff's station, and some sprinkler work is being done while Andy and Lucy discuss the identity of her baby's father. In a holding cell, Catherine reveals herself to Ben and uses his alibi to her advantage, or uses his need for an alibi to her advantage.
Right, that's cool. This is the most soap opera part of the entire soap opera. Andy and Lucy coming together here, and it's great because it's almost meta and commenting on itself. It's a very, but you could be I didn't know if you were the father. It could be someone else. It's very dramatic that way. And you have the sprinkler guy that's trying not to eavesdrop, but he's totally fascinated by the entire thing. I love that part of it. Is really great. And the fact that, Andy's all got a head full of steam, and he's gonna call and settle this with Dick. And Lucy is so into it, because he's being, like, really tough and assertive until he's Andy, and he's like, if it's a good time.
Yeah,
for you.
that is if you're not too busy.
She completely melts. She's like, oh, okay, whatever. So I love that part of it. You have anything for that?
No, I just hate why Lucy is so mad. Like, why is she mad? Because she's like, first you said you had no good sperms, and now your sperms. Like, she's mad at him for just existing. Yeah. Which is fine, whatever. But I love when he's like, yes, I'll hold, before that starts. And then when he gets through, he's like, not if you're not too busy. But it's great. I feel bad for Andy. I don't know. Lucy's okay. I don't know. Yeah. She's a little mean. It's fine. I'd rather talk about the Catherine.
Yeah, let's talk about Ben calls Jerry the boy genius out looking for a better lawyer is really terrific. And we really see in this, we've seen it for the previous scenes where he's been in this holding cell, but he goes to town using, how many handkerchiefs does he have? Because he's cleaning the bars. I hadn't seen him do this before, but he opens a handkerchief and puts it on the bed where he's going to sit. Like, he's not a germaphobe necessarily, but he's definitely got
this
something
is beneath
in that direction.
Him.
Yeah, all of this is definitely beneath him. And when he's talking to, he doesn't know it's Catherine yet, Tojimura, right? Mm-hmm. He gives this whole thing, this speech, this flickering flame within, all this. He's just so full of shit, and I love it. I just love how, like, who do you think you're fooling, dude? And at that point, when Catherine just takes her foot out of the shoe, and you just see that red painted toenail, he recognizes that foot immediately. And this threat that she's giving him, he just responds to it with pure joy. And I think it's obviously both because, okay, maybe I can turn this to my advantage and get her to confirm my alibi. But I think it's also like, wow, she's amazing. This is a woman that he has known for decades, that they've plotted and schemed with each other, against other people, against each other. They've been adversaries. And I think he just kind of applauds how she's able to put all of this together, even though it's at his expense and could cost him his freedom or life or livelihood. There's part of him that's just like in awe of her. And I love that dynamic between the two of them.
I like that she goes in with her toes, and that's like a deep-seated Louise Dombrowski foot on the
for
rug
sure.
dancing that was
good
like
call, good
implanted
call.
as a child, and he has a foot thing.
Yeah. Do you feel like the makeup on Catherine in this scene is worse than other places? It's the seam across her forehead is much more visible than I've seen in other places. And I'm wondering if it was intentional because this is when she's revealing herself to him and it's like a subliminal thing that's happening.
I would say no, or like we don't really care. Let's just get this scene over with because
it's just the lighting is different and it just was so hard to do. But yeah, it really caught my attention this time. Halfway down her forehead, you can see the seam of where the prosthetic comes in.
Right.
It just interesting.
Because the audience knows. I can't remember. She does not take her face off, right?
She has never taken it off yet. Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't say it was intentional.
I mean, even to Pete, she didn't. Yeah. So. Okay.
All right. So now Donna's going to pay a visit to the Palmers to drop off their mixtape while Leland is set off by a pair of sunglasses. When Leland learns about the secret diary and Donna learns that Maddie never made it home, Leland wants a lemonade dance party. Unfortunately, the cops busted up.
The whole thing with the mixtape felt so I don't tell me what you thought about that because it felt so throwaway to me.
It's a great song. Yeah, I would love it. I'm dropping off this mix. We made this great song together. We recorded it, and it just James was in there mixing it, getting the perfect.
But then Leland goes to this whole thing of like Maddie. Didn't he say something like Maddie really enjoyed that evening? Or it's like he's just embellishing all these things that it didn't need to do. But to me, it's a little bit like when he pulled out the golf clubs and was an inch away from threatening Cooper in broad daylight, because what does he care? It's just Leland's body he's riding around in. Is he just riding on the edge here and just like making stuff up? If I get caught in a thing, it doesn't matter. I don't know what that was, but it just felt like a strange little diversion here. But what was stranger to me is Donna wearing those sunglasses in the house and just lighting up a cigarette. What are you doing, Donna? I don't know. I thought we had left that behind a few episodes ago when she's trying to be someone else, but clearly not. I do love how in this entire episode, all of the daytime scenes are so overly saturated and overly bright in a way that I don't feel was consistent with other episodes. And when they're in this living room, it is like 1,000-watt light bulbs outside lighting this room up. So seeing it that way, and it's in the same situation, obviously, as when we saw what happened with Maddie and Leland Bob. So the tension is there the entire time, and it's being undercut or emphasized with the contrast with the daylight. It just feels like a really great choice to show it so bright like this. Maybe that's why she's seen the sunglasses. It was really freaking bright on set. But yeah, just seeing Leland react to the sunglasses and just... Man, you said it before. I don't know why, and especially later in this episode, how he didn't win an Emmy for his performances here. It's so subtle, the moments where it is Leland in control and Bob in control, or the face of Leland that he's presenting and letting the mask slip and it's Bob is just subtle, and it happens over and over again throughout these scenes, and it just keeps building this tension. I don't know what else to say. It's just fantastic. We know where it's could go, or we have a fear of where it could go, and it just keeps us right on the edge of that happening until the end. But I don't know. I've been rambling. You tell me what you thought. We'll jump in.
Yeah, no, I think this is a really good scene. This is probably one of the best scenes in this episode. Like, it's scary and like how many women have to deal with this. Like, you're in the situation where you think you're safe and it's a family friend or whatever, and then you realize that it's going in a direction that you didn't think it was going to go. And like, from what I remember, right, she's looking at the fireplace and he comes up behind her. So he's blocking the exit to the room and she's like trapped in this thing. And then he's forcibly dancing, but it's like, it's over the edge, but it's like in this weird space where her brain could be like, oh no, it's not what I think. Like, she might be backing back and forth between, is this appropriate? Is this not appropriate? Like, it's in the space that I think so many people must live, or unfortunately are taken to these places, that it's very effective in that manner. I had the same note about her lighting up. Like, it's like, you wouldn't do that in someone else's house. No. But this is also the same house where James is smashing a pot or a lamp off the table and then showing up the next day like everything's fine. So it's all cool.
Going back to your point of like, I think that's a great way of saying this, that Donna is maybe trying to convince herself that everything's okay, because we get interrupted. Leland does come up to her and is touching her hair, and he's gonna grab her. And then the phone rings, so he has to go and grab the phone. And then he comes back, and that's when he puts the record on. I think I have to order right, but regardless, whenever he puts the record on, this is cut to her, and she just kind of gives that giggle. It's like, oh, it's just Mr. Palmer, that silly guy. Like he's been at the dinner club all the time, and he sings and dances. So like it really does that. Again, like you said, she's trying to convince herself, like, no, this is okay. I love that it's explicitly shown Bob is there in the lightning and he's like moving around and like screaming, but that's not what's actually happening because Donna has no reaction to it. So it's not like it's just a small thing. It's not every movement that Bob is making, he's driving Leland. Like they're kind of separate in that way. I just like that they showed that there. And that was that supernatural lightning that we've seen, especially the spotlights before. But he gets the phone call. He takes the piece of gum out, setting that up for later as well, which calls back to, the man from another place saying that gum you like is going to come back in style. So we get that in here. You said this at the very beginning when we were talking about this episode. One of the things that I think you said you kind of like and don't like at the same time. It's all the mythology, but it's also a lot of explaining. This is very much like someone had a checklist of all the clues, and we just need to make sure we went through all of them and checked the boxes. I don't dislike it, but it feels very different than the other episodes where we're trying to put the pieces together. This is the other side of that of like, okay, you've had all the pieces. Now we're just going to connect all the dots for you one by one. Just a small thing towards the end of this, the menace of Leland as they're dancing, and he's grabbing her before Harry arrives to save the day, inadvertently saving the day. I just wonder about the whole thing with the scorched motor oil. Bob's there. Bob is ready to kill. And we know previously when before Maddie died, Bob was fully present and taking control of Leland, and he was just ready to play with his knives and get going. And that's when she smells the motor oil. It's strange to me that was not mentioned here at all, that didn't happen. But you would expect at this point, like that presence of Bob, that scorched motor oil being here now.
I think that only comes out in the most severest cases.
If they had gone another like 4 or 5 minutes of this, of back and forth, that would have happened.
I think if he decided that he was going to kill her at that moment, yes. But if he was just going to do something inappropriate or whatever, like who knows what.
Oh, interesting. I just read it as he's going to kill her, but you're right.
He's always Bob. Like he's walking around as Bob all the time. Sure. Like even when he was with Cooper, he didn't smell like scorch engine. Only had the club out and you see him in the rear view mirror. I feel like that's like when he's climaxing.
No, that's a great way to put it.
You get the scorch engine oil. All right, that's all I have for that one. So Donna's going to tell James that Maddie's dead and James is going to spiral. He abandons Donna to a town where there's clearly a murderer and hits the road.
I mean,
goddamn,
he just
James.
left her there. He just she says, James, don't leave me. Like, James, don't leave me stranded in the middle of nowhere. I need a freaking ride. Yeah. But she walked there from I don't know. I don't even know where they are.
They're in Easter Park, I think.
Some edge of the park, maybe on the other side of the lake or something. But yeah, it was very strange. But yeah, this martyr, James, we could have helped her. How? We could have helped her. How? I don't know. It's like, okay, James.
Yeah, he's just tired of this stuff.
I mean, I get it, honestly. Like, being, the series of murders of people that you love and everything else that's going on, but at the same time, like, don't be the martyr about it. It was not your responsibility. And then Donna kind of makes it about them in a way. It's just, especially like we said before, after the ring and this, undying love, whatever. And now he's like, this is it. And this, like, left ambiguous. Like, are you leaving or are you leaving us? Like, all that is just there. So it's a small scene, but it's so James.
All right. So at the Roadhouse, now Cooper has a gathering of his own as the circle closes. In attendance, we're going to have Leland, Harry, Ed. Ed's coming. Ben, Leo, Bobby, and Hawk. He's got some Bookhouse boys that he can rely on. When some latecomers arrive, things really take off, and Cooper gets his ring back finally.
I just gotta say, as an aside, I was rewatching this last night, and Joe, my partner, happened to be around. He doesn't watch the show, but if it's on, he finds it interesting. This was a good episode for him to watch because he has seen bits and pieces up to now, and this is a very like exposition. Let's explain everything. So he was like, oh, so are these the ghost people? He doesn't really know what's going on, but I just love that he kept calling them ghost people, which just made me love this even more. Before we even get into the scene, there's that interstitial of the storm and the trees that are blowing, which is super effective. We've seen that in a number of different places before. There's something about one of them. The video that they used felt very much like video, like VHS, like 480i. Like it was very like staticky in a way. I don't know if it was intentional, but I just noticed it because everything else feels so clean, and that wasn't. And it for me, it was effective and evocative of something that I can't quite put my finger on, which is kind of a theme for me this entire episode. It's like, this feels like that thing, but I don't know why. Anyway, small thing. I just love that trees in the storm because we get this lightning that's happening, just amplifying all of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of that made sense. It just like visually was repeating that same theme and just growing intensity. I don't know, a couple of things. Ben sitting in the booth eating nuts. The Roadhouse must just be known for their nuts. They must be really freaking
good nuts. You saw the log lady really going at it. They're good.
Which of the people? So you listed all the people that Cooper gathered here. Which of the people do you think needed to be there for all of this to really close the circle? Leo needed to be there, it seems, but Bobby was just there to get him there. So Bobby wasn't like a necessary part of closing the circle, right? Or do you think it was? Like, how do you feel?
Cooper doesn't know yet. Like, Cooper doesn't know it's Leland.
Sure.
So he may have suspicions that it's Leland. Like we saw him when in Drive with a Dead Girl, he's looking at him, whatever. Bobby's very connected to Laura. We saw he was at the Roadhouse when Maddie was killed. He started crying. He was affected by it. He was also one of the early suspects.
Okay, true. Yep.
So to have him there as well as Leo, who was a big suspect.
Yes, for sure.
Makes sense,
yes.
Right? Ed clearly is not on anybody's list, but he's a bookhouse boy. He's trustworthy. He needs some allies. That's where you get Hawk, Harry, and Ed. Major Briggs, the wild card, right? Hearing messages from space, Cooper. The owls are not what they seem. He makes sense. So, like, I can see him adding all of those elements to the mix.
Yeah, you had said previously when we were talking about the waiter showing up, it wasn't clear to me, like, did Cooper invite Briggs here, or was it a coincidence? Because I thought Briggs said I was driving home and I saw this man and he waved me down. I
thought he said I was driving here.
Oh,
well, this is the way. Maybe I misheard it, but Cooper says we're missing someone, and then Major Briggs comes in and he says right on cue, Major Briggs. Now, it could be that he doesn't know who he's missing, and then he sees Major Briggs, and he's like, right on cue, the universe has given me Major Briggs, and Major Briggs also brought along this waiter.
Yeah.
My thing was with the waiter, like, he should have known to include the waiter. I wish Cooper had figured it out, and then it was confirmed. Instead of like, oh, that gum, I love that gum. It's, my favorite gum in the whole world. That gum you like is like, all Cooper did was bring a bunch of people to the Roadhouse.
Just look at the line. It does say, Cooper says, Major Briggs, right on time. Briggs says, I was on my way home. This kind gentleman flagged me down and asked if I could drive him here. So I love the coincidence and serendipity of this. Like, the reason I asked about like who needs to be there, I do see this as being ritualistic.
He says magic outright, which is why I had said, like, for me, the magician longs to see the truth of it. It's Cooper, right? Here he is practicing magic. He's throwing the rocks. Like, he is the magician. Yeah. He's looking for the truth. So that's...
Yeah. And so that's why I felt like you're gathering ingredients for this spell to work, to, beat a metaphor. So I was just wondering if you had thoughts on which of the component pieces. It sounds to you like all the pieces needed to align this way, even the ones Cooper hadn't thought about.
Yeah.
The universe is going to send his direction anyway. Which I love. That's great. This is me being on both sides of the fence of like, I wish things weren't so Deus Ex Machina. It was more grounded in truth. And also, it's totally cool the universe just made things happen at the same time. So
yeah, in that side of the fence, I wish Cooper was more proactive in saying, I know I need to do this, instead of like, it all worked out.
Yeah, but he's still kind of casting about, like that whole, like you said before, he's, indecisive, or he's like a little lost. But at least he had, like, it was true what the giant said and what his friends had told him. He's on the path and he's going to get there. Even if he didn't know how to get there and if he didn't necessarily believe himself.
Yeah, but that path, right? The path feels more like a ride at Disney World that's set on a thing, and he's like, oh, there goes the thing, as opposed to him driving it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's definitely a good point. So yeah, then we got Leland with the gum, my most favorite gum in the world. And then that moment of the lightning striking in the freeze frames is, God, that's stunning. It's just like it stopped me in my tracks. I just love every freeze frame around Major Briggs standing there at attention. And this is when the giant appears. And it wasn't obvious to me right away that like that is a moment when everything actually froze in time. And then what happens with the giant is out of time.
Yeah, just like what happened when Maddie died.
Yeah. So all of that, I get chills. I really love that. And just finally the giant saying, like, in effect, you've done it. You've acknowledged you understand all of this. And he gives the ring back, and his head disappears and it falls to the ground. And then time starts again as Cooper's putting the gum in his mouth and then looks down and sees the ring. I just love this scene so much. It's just such a the tableau of everyone with the major Bobby, Leo, and Ed in the background whenever they're leaving. And then Cooper giving that thumbs up at the end and the waiter giving a salute. It's just all these pieces of things that I love shoved into one scene together. I think it's great. I could talk forever. Your turn. Sorry.
I would say, like, when this first aired, this whole thing was very exciting. Like, this was like a very exciting moment. I can put myself back in there and relive it. As I get older, as I watch it more, I think I like it a little bit less because it's so rushed. It feels so fast. I wish we could just slow down a little bit because everything is like boom, 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 and we're out. Like, even before it feels like it started, it's over. Talk about the Dutch angle stuff I don't like, but there's a lot of really cool camera work in this particular sequence that I do really like. Like when it's coming in, when it's the camera, when it starts, swoops in from above and it goes down on Leland's entrance, and it's really, really cool. I love the way that's shot. All of the stuff that, hey, the gang's all here. It all feels like a stage play, like an Agatha Christie murder mystery. Last act, whatever. Here's where we're gonna figure out I figured out who the killer was. Except nobody says that because it's basically handed to him. Yep. I love Ben's line. Ben's, got to give it up for Ben Horn. Would you like us to hum a Tibetan chant, perhaps, which cues us in on the future when he's gonna die, and Cooper's gonna read from the Tibetan Book of the Dead to a dying Leland. So it's great having that line about a Tibetan chant here, knowing where it's going to end up in just a few scenes. I don't know. Again, it just feels like it's all so fast, and it's like we get here and then we're on our way out. Visually, it looks really cool.
Right.
I just feel like if we could have taken a little bit more time. We could have taken more time on all of this too. I feel like once we reveal who the killer is to the audience, we get one episode and then this episode. I feel like, guys, we got a lot of episodes in season 2 to go.
Right.
What are we running? Like, why are we just running to get rid of Ray Wise, who's amazing?
Do you have a theory about why that was?
No, I don't have a theory.
The real world, like David Lynch moving on to other projects, etc. Do you think that was part of it? To be like, okay, we're going to wrap this stuff up and I'm going to step away?
I have I mean,
I don't know.
From everything I've heard, they were not happy about having to reveal the killer. David Lynch's involvement from this point on, even really from the Maddie episode on, is less and less. From what I've heard, some people may say things differently. Supposedly, there's an episode 1 or 2 from now where David Lynch wanted to make a change to something, and Harley Peyton was like, no. And then David Lynch was like, what? And for him, he's probably like, why am I doing this? Like, if I can't even have whatever. And so he's sort of off the grid. Mark Frost is also at some point, I don't know if it's now or maybe it's by the next episode, is off to do pre-production on his movie Storyville. So he's going to leave, and Harley Peyton starts running basically the show from here on out. So maybe it was, I don't know. I don't want to, it doesn't matter. I mean, you just have to take it for its face value. I don't know if he's trying to clear the board so he could have more fun with whatever he's going to do. I don't know what they're doing, but it just feels like it would have been great to have like a little bit of a cat and mouse with Bob through in Ray Wise's body and Cooper trying to figure out like who, like, and other people could die. Like, I don't know. It seems like it was a missed opportunity of just another one episode or two. It doesn't have to be a huge arc.
Yes. More Ray Wise playing multiple versions of the same, multiple sides of the same scene. Like I would love that as well. We didn't explicitly mention this, but we do see Laura actually we hear what Laura whispered.
Yes.
Which is the final reveal.
Right.
My
father killed me. Not backwards either. Forward.
Yep.
So it's interesting
that
it's not spoken backwards because everything else is in the Red Room. Fresh from this moment of revelation, Cooper takes Ben and Leland back to the sheriff's station where Bob reveals himself. In the interrogation room, Bob absolves Leland of his heinous crimes.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
So that was it. Okay. Next. So this is great. You get Cooper whispering to Harry, who just nods like, "Okay, this is." It's few seconds of whatever he muttered to Harry, and they're off. The gang is ready to go. So that fake out of Ben going into the cell, and they take him out of the way and push Bob in, and that freak out scene is great. It's amazing. As soon as he realizes he's trapped like a wild animal, it's fantastic.
He's off his rocker.
To the point where Ben looks and is like and says, "That's not Leland." Fantastic line.
Hawk says that, I think.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, like I think Ben says something like,
"Leland? That's not Leland."
Great either way. When Leland is cuffed there in the chair, and he looks up and has that maniacal grin and starts laughing. Like this, he should have won every award there is. This is chilling, unsettling.
It's very funny and very dark. Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I do have this thing for knives.
Did you kill Laura Palmer?
That's a yes.
How about Madeline Ferguson?
What do you think?
I'm asking you.
What do you think?
That's the question.
Oh, gosh, gee whiz. I guess I kinda sorta did. I have this thing for knives.
It's like what happened to you in Pittsburgh that time. Huh, Cooper?
It's great. I guess I kind of sort of did kill him. I do this. I mean, Jesus, it's good. Like the writing is great. And then Ray Wise just, putting the extra sauce on everything. It just, my God, it was so good. And then apparently Bob knows whatever the thing is that happened in Pittsburgh. He referenced the knives.
He does. He
just like what happened in
references that.
Pittsburgh.
Which is
we don't know yet, right?
We don't know yet. We'll learn.
Great. I'm looking forward to relearning whatever that was.
I should say we know, and I think I'm almost positive we know it's connected to his former partner, Wyndham Earl, who's also in the woods somewhere. Like we don't know. We're hearing about him. He's on the loose.
Yes. Yeah. That was the only other time we've heard about Pittsburgh being a thing with Cooper. They're talking about, was Leland aware of what was happening? And that Bob says Leland was a babe in the woods, which just calls to mind everything in Laura's diary as well. I just think that was a great way to phrase this with a hole where his conscience used to be. And when he says, he's going to reveal it to him, I'm going to pull that, what is this? Like, pull the ripcord, and he's going to watch him remember, but not that long. I get chills. It's so fantastic. And then the camera leaves the room from above. Leland sitting there, slumped over in the chair, and on either side of him are the two drains, foreshadowing what was going to be coming later as well. What a scene. What a scene.
If Leland had simply just said, "What are you doing? What are the charges? Get me out of here," he would be killing to this day. He would have a much larger elk. But he goes off his rocker, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I part of me doesn't like how matter of fact it's like Leland didn't do any of these things. He's completely innocent. So that you could be like, okay, he's also a victim. I have mixed feelings. I just have mixed feelings about it. I'm not saying I completely hate it because it's good, but it does completely absolve him of any guilt or culpability in these horrible things. And that's why that's why I like David Lynch so much, because you watch that scene where I was talking about the spotlight's not on, and now you see it's Leo, and like you can process this and feel what you want out of it. It's not told to you that, nope, here it is. I took him over when I was a little boy. Here's how I did it, and he has no idea what's going on. And all those times you thought he was fine and whatever. So it's like there's no room to dream. Like it's all said for you, and then you just have to, that's my critique. If it's a wonderful scene, Like, that's what I mean.
No,
As much as this doesn't make my top 10 for episodes, it's got so much great stuff in it. And Ray Wise rules the day on these scenes. And these iconic moments, the giant handing him the ring, that sequence, like, it's full of it. It's full of wonderful, great things. So I totally respect the art.
Yep.
It just, whatever. Do you have anything else on this? We can jump. I have a very quick thing with the Dick, Andy, and Lucy, and then we're kind of jumping back to the same thing.
Let's get through that because, like you said, we could have used more time in this episode specifically. We probably could have lost some of these subplots and come back to them later, and we would have had more time. But go ahead.
Okay, so Dick, Andy, and Lucy agree to work together until a test can prove the father's identity, and Dick has a cigarette.
Yeah. No, go for it. I don't have anything much to say other than
this isn't just an interesting thing for anyone that's watched The Return. Dick is sitting, and behind him is a picture of Woodsman, and he lights a cigarette. Got a light. So, what does that mean? I don't know, but there's Woodsman behind. Do you know that reference?
It's fantastic.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
okay,
it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Someone had mentioned, or I've seen it as we've been doing these and putting out, social media about this. My algorithm starts feeding me more Twin Peaks. So I had already gotten that meme of Dick doing "Got a Light." Yeah. So I was waiting for this scene to come. This is the best part of this little side tangent that we have. Otherwise.
It's here to set off because we're gonna have that great scene with the sprinklers. Do I think that Dick is a woodsman? No. But it's a nice moment. Like, it's a connection that, literally got a light and there's a thing. That's great.
Well, Eric, what do they say about coincidences?
Yes.
Attention must be paid. Okay.
All right. So Cooper justifies the evidence that points to Leland outside while Bob recites the Fire Walk With Me poem. When the sprinklers trip, all hell breaks loose and Bob takes one more victim. Leland dies in Cooper's arms.
Ben Horn's blood test, he's the wrong type. Harry, the answer was right in front of me from the very beginning. What did the little man do in my dream?
He danced.
After Laura's death, Leland danced compulsively. We were told that Bob the killer was a gray-haired man. When Leland killed Jock, his hair turned gray overnight. Leland said when he was a child, the gray-haired man who lived next door was named Robertson. Mike said the people Bob inhabited were his children. Robertson, son of Robert. The letters under the fingernails, R-O-B-T, Bob was spelling his name. A signature on a demon self-portrait.
Why would he kill her?
The litany of things that Cooper has seen, he's explaining this to everyone. The little man, what did he do? He danced, and Leland liked to dance. Leland's hair turning white, son of Robert, spelling out the letters. This is a part.
It's a laundry list of.
It's useful. Like, it's finally, like, there's some satisfaction to the resolution of all these, like, dangling threads that you may or may not have put together in the time of watching this. But this is part of the reason why I say it felt a little bit like a checklist. Let's just go down and make sure we hit all the things that we talked about before. And even after all that. Like, and we mentioned, like, Laura knew that her dad knew about her dad because he found her diary, was ripping out the pages, and so, like, it's coming up towards the end. She knew what was going to happen. And after all this laundry list, all these things that are more than coincidence, they're all pointing in the right direction. And we just saw that the result of it. Harry still can't quite believe everything. So it's just like the last holdout.
Because you got to understand, like, he's known Leland forever. So, like, to take it that this guy that you knew, that was friends with, that everyone in the town knew, could kill his own daughter and his niece,
but on top of it, that it was a demon spirit inside him.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. So, like, it's a lot for poor Harry to take in.
No, it totally makes sense. It's just now this is because Harry was so willing to go with Cooper along for the journey, especially at the very beginning when he didn't know him, and now he knows him very well and has seen the results of it, and he's still reluctant.
And some of that stuff, like where you're talking about, like demon possessing a body, like the end cap, even more so because he specifically says that stuff out loud.
Absolutely. But yeah, so we got. The sprinklers go off, set up earlier. Now Dick smoke set that off, and just so much water. It's just a lot of water. And Leland or Bob saying the chant here is bone chilling. just such a great read of it, and just to have that come back again one last time.
One last time.
Then just that headbutt into the door.
Yeah. And they can't get it open, and
they can't get it open, and when they finally do, seeing the gore left behind on the door, and Leland laying there in the pool of blood and water, it's just so effective. And then just going through Leland's kind of soliloquy as he's dying.
Oh God, I love her. I love her with all my heart. My angel, forgive me.
Leland. Leland, the time has come for you to seek the path. Your soul has set you face to face with the clear light, and you are now about to experience it in its reality, wherein all things are like the void and cloudless sky, and the naked, spotless intellect is like a transparent vacuum without circumference or center. Leland, in this moment, know yourself and abide in that state. Look to the light, Leland. Find the light.
I see it.
Into the light, Leland. Into the light.
I see her. She's there.
Into the light, Leland.
She's beautiful.
Into the light.
Laura.
Don't be afraid.
Like you said, he is being absolved of everything. He was as a kid infected by this demon, and he's been along for the ride this entire time. And he's remembering all these things. He talks about Teresa, and he was told to give them Laura, otherwise they make him murder her. But then he seems as though he's recalling, because this was from when he was a child. So Bob's been with him this entire time
for almost 40 years.
Are there a ton of other things that have happened? You kind of see that, like, he's remembering other things that we're not aware of and that he's not talking about. He's just doing so much in this scene with so little. I mean, the lines are great and the direction's great, I'm sure, but he is able to, Ray Wise, just take this performance to another level. It's fantastic. Last thing, Cooper saying, it's time to come to seek the path. So again, this path thing, but not shifting the meaning for someone else. And then Leland seeing Laura there, my angel, my baby, which comes up later as well. But yeah, then Leland dies and the water stops. So the metaphor's over. I don't know. Tell me what you thought.
Well, one thing on the behind the scenes thing, like when he found out that he had to be the murderer and leave the show, like this was one of the things that they used to sell it to him.
At that time, the series was still quite popular, so, I didn't want to wave bye-bye to a great character and a wonderful gig, a wonderful job. The kind of job that comes along maybe once in a lifetime in a career. So all those thoughts were going through my head. And I remember maybe verbalizing a little bit of, man, no, I was hoping it wouldn't be me. David said, but don't worry, Ray, don't worry. We have it all worked out. He said, it's going to be a beautiful thing. It's going to be a beautiful thing. And then he proceeded to tell me a little bit about the way we would indeed handle the end of Leland Palmer. And it did sound very good to me.
You're going to get this great scene. You're going to go through this. You're going to be absolved of sort of the crime. You were not this horrible person. You're going to see Laura in this white light. And like, there's just going to be this beautiful moment that Cooper's going to talk to you. So like, that was sort of the thing that kind of made it not just be the most horrible person in the world that's doing these horrible crimes. So that was
right.
That was part of the thing. You mentioned the thing that he reads. It is from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which I have here.
I saw that,
because
yes.
I had purchased this in the 1990s. Probably when this came out. This is from It's from 1987. I bought this because it was like, they talking about the Tibetan Book of the Dead on Twin Peaks. I should read it. I did not read all of it, but I did. You could have found a 16-year-old me probably walking around looking like a little pretentious scamp reading this thing. But here is the passage. It is not quite the same, so this is probably a different translation. This is the Dharmata. Open and empty like space, luminous void, pure, naked mind without center or circumference. Recognize then and rest in that state, and I too will show you at the same time. So not quite the same words, but that particular line that he says, I have looked up. You can see that in other translations, just not the copy that I have, which is the Shambhala Dragon edition of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. So I don't know. You kind of covered everything. It's just like when he's doing the part before Leland dies, like he's saying this checklist thing. I just had in my notes like, hey, fellas, like, we got a lot more episodes. Like, we don't need to get out so fast. I feel like we're just getting out so fast. And so at the end, there's plenty of time for an epilogue. So we get Cooper, Albert, and Harry discussing the events of the day. Each approaches this revelation in their own way. And also Major Briggs is in the woods, just hanging out for some reason. Maybe they had planned on meeting him there. I'm not sure. It doesn't matter.
I think he just shows up at the right place at the right time.
Always at the right place at the right time.
I get this book ends the episode, so the fella's walking, not in slow motion this time, but just walking in the woods-ish area.
Taking a walk in the sunshine.
Woods. Presumably it's later the same day.
It doesn't matter at this point.
Because it felt like morning, but it can't be because
early evening
was brought in the day when Donna was there. But anyway, they're there. It's just these heroes walking through. We got Briggs, though, instead of Hawk. So Harry expresses his doubt there, and I think like you were mentioning before, Cooper says to him, as Harry says he can't quite wrap his head around all of this, is it any more comforting to think a man would rape and murder his own daughter than to believe in an evil spirit doing all of this? And like, nope, it's pretty terrible either way, so that's awful. But Albert, though, seems to be, again, I don't know that Albert was explicitly like only science, whatever, but he would not be the one that would immediately be like, to me, be the obvious person to buy this entirely, but he absolutely is on board with all this. I'm talking about like the evil that men do, that Bob is a representation of the evil that men do, and that Cooper says, it's our job to know where this is coming from because it's our job to fight it. And Briggs just says, yeah. Like, he doesn't really see. I just wonder about Briggs. Does Briggs see that as his calling as well? He doesn't really yes or no. Is very ambivalent about whether he buys that it is actually their duty to stop this evil. I don't know. Did that jump out to you at all or not?
Is love enough? Yeah, is love enough for Briggs? I don't like this scene. So I don't know how to even approach it.
Tell me why you don't like it.
Yeah. I don't like it because it's like over-explaining everything. It's like the end of Psycho.
To understand it the way I understood it, hearing it from the mother, that is, from the mother half of Norman's mind, you have to go back 10 years.
Where they're like, Norman Bates did this and this, and this is why he did. And this feels like that. All the cast is great. I love Albert in all forms of Albert. I love Cooper. I love Major Briggs. Absolutely. I love it all, but it never sat right with me. It's very heavy-handed on the Dutch angles again, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Bob is just, and I know a lot of people like this part too.
Maybe that's all Bob is. The evil that men do. Maybe it doesn't matter what we call it.
Let me say that to myself alone as I'm writing in my dream journal. I don't know. I just wish this whole thing was cut out and we had anything else. But then, of course, we get if we didn't get Bob now, where is he now? Oh, there's an owl in the woods scene that's going to come. It's not like it's terrible. It just feels like it just over-explains Bob. And it's like, here is, take one of these, take out of this pocket of explanations. You may find one you like. It's interesting, though, as a character, looking at the characters, how do the characters deal with it? And they're all on point with where they would come from intellectually, spiritually, and all of those things. So,
yeah.
It's fine. I don't know.
But then we get the owl at the end.
And we get the owl at the end, and you're waiting for Bob, and maybe you're not going to see Bob. Maybe you will see Bob. We'll see what happens. Fantastic. That was a big thing for me as a kid. It was like, oh, where's Bob going next?
So. And how well did that pay off?
I don't know. I won't tell you. We'll have to get into part 2 of season 2 and see see where we go. Yeah, this is the end. So we'll take a bit of a break from now until then. And then we'll start with, oh, God, what is it? A dispute between brothers. I believe that's the name of the episode, or episode number 17. Yeah, so...
But in the meantime, like Eric mentioned, we do have the Patreon. We're going to be doing more Pink Room secret podcast stuff. We'll do other reviews and things. So in the meantime, before we jump into the second portion of the second season, look for some bonus stuff from us as well if you join the Patreon and talk to our growing community there.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, that's it.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys and girls and those in between. Thank you for listening to the Meanwhile podcast with Dan Johnson and Eric Grissom. If you would like to support the Meanwhile podcast, join our Patreon. It's available right now. You can sign up, and for just a few dollars a month, you can keep this show going, and you can get access to some exclusive podcasts and some secret stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you'd like to join, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and look for the Patreon link. If you like our show, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're hearing this now. Meanwhile is produced by Eric Grissom and Where's My Robots? The Meanwhile theme song is written and performed by Paul Finn and Evening Pines. If you want to let us know what you thought of the show, you can reach Dan at danjnj.com, both on the web and on Blue Sky. Eric can be found on Blue Sky at ericgrissom.com, which is also his website. It's also me, right? That's weird. We'll see you again. And in the meantime, be good.
Listen to the sounds.
Meanwhile.
Where's my robot, you know?